Hi, this is Greg from Structural Toolkit. A network USB hardware license is a red USB that you'll be provided with if you have opted for the network license option. To use a network license, you'll either want to plug it into a server or main computer in your office or workspace. And on that computer, you will need to either run the license manager or license service licensing software. With one of these running and correctly configured, any computer that is connected to the same local network will be able to access the network license. Correctly set up VPNs will also allow people to access the license remotely. Which license method you're better off using will depend on how you operate the computer you'll plug the USB into. The license manager runs as a simple application and has an easy interface, but requires the computer to be logged in at all times. The license service runs in the background as a service and has no visible interface, but will continue to run in the background when logged out. Managing the license service can be done from the Windows tool tray in the bottom right using the License Tools program. Do note you can only run one of these programs at a time. As a supplementary program, there's the License Monitor, which can be used on any computer on the local network to monitor the network license while it is being run with the manager or service. All of these programs can be installed on a computer by downloading the latest Structural Toolkit tools from the user portal on our website, extracting the downloaded zip folder and running the setup tools.exe. The rest of this video will be split into sections. Firstly, for running the license manager, then running the license tools to install the service. After that, we'll be connecting to the license from the user end, and finally looking at the license monitor briefly. You can skip around in the video using the chapters below. Once the setup has been installed, you'll be able to find the license manager on either the desktop or by searching in the Windows Start menu. It will be named License Manager v2. Make sure you've got the USB plugged in and then run the program. This will bring up an interface where you can run and manage the network license. At the bottom you will be able to see your licensee name and also the number of licenses you have. We can also see at the bottom that our status shows stopped as we have yet to click start. Before starting the license, you'll want to make sure the license IP is correctly configured by clicking the settings on the server tab. What we'll be doing here is setting the IP to the current computer or server's IP. The easiest way to do this is by clicking the button here to automatically set it to this. Now, depending on the server setup, there may be multiple IPs on the computer, so you may need your IT's help with this. Ideally, the IP of the server should also be static, meaning that each time the server is restarted, the IP doesn't change. We have a document on our website that goes through setting up a static IP. The port will typically always be 2235. You also get some additional inputs for setting user idle timeout and the like. Once the IP has been correctly configured, you can click OK and then start the license by clicking the Start button. We can see now that our status has switched to started, so we know our network license is now running. The next step is to then connect to our network license using another computer that has Structural Toolkit installed. Once a user has connected, you will see their connection appear on the License Manager. Clicking the connected user will allow you to disconnect them as needed or even send them a message. The License Tools program, which manages the license service, can be found on the desktop or by searching in the Windows Start menu, being named License Tools v2. As we discussed before, it's important to know that you can only run one of the licensing options at a time. So make sure the license manager is closed if you're intending to use the service instead. Make sure you've got the USB plugged in and then run the tools. The license tools won't bring up an interface like a program might. Instead, a grey icon will appear in the tool tray to the bottom right. You will then need to right click this icon and then click Install Service. Once the service has installed, the icon should change to a bright orange color. You can right click again and press Show Event Log to see if everything is running correctly. If it is running correctly, we'll be able to see the IP and port the license server is using, and details on the license and also the seats available. As we discussed with the manager, ideally the IP of the server should be static, meaning that each time the server is restarted, the IP doesn't change. We have a document on our website that goes through setting up a static IP. Your IT may need to help with this depending on the server setup. If the license service is not using the correct IP, you can manually change it after stopping the service using the license tools in the tool tray, and by going to the program data/Anthony Fur software directory that is usually in the C drive and editing the XML file here. You may need your IT to help do this. With the license service running, the next step is to then connect to our network license using another computer that has Structural Toolkit installed. Connecting to the license manager or service on the user end is typically done when you first open up Structural Toolkit. You'll be greeted with options to remote or activate. For the network license, you will want to click remote, and in this dialog box you'll need to input the IP and port of the server with the license manager or service on it, being the same IP and port we were looking at earlier. If you're still on a trial version of Toolkit, you will need to navigate to the Help tab, click Deactivate, and once deactivated, either close the program and open it again, or click the Settings button in the Help tab and input the IP and port here. Once input, you can click the Start button. Once connected, you will be able to see the licensee name in the bottom left-hand corner, which you can hover over for details. Finally, we'll have a look at the license monitor. The license monitor is a good way to see what is happening on the license manager or service from any computer on the same local network. You'll be able to find it on your desktop or by searching for it in the Windows Start menu. It will be called License Monitor V2. The interface is similar to the license manager, but instead of managing the license using this, you will be able to just simply view it. You can't use this program as a substitute for the manager or service. To connect to the license to see what is happening, you will need to make sure that it's configured to the correct IP, being the IP of the server or computer the USB is plugged into. You can see the currently selected IP here, and if that's not correct, click on the Settings button and enter the correct IP and port. Once you have the correct IP, click Start. This will then show any users currently using any of the licenses, and like the manager, will allow you to remove or message them as needed. That about covers setting up a network USB license. Feel free to check out our website for other tips and videos. Thanks for watching.